She chose a stranger over her own brother's house, and a nation would argue about it for thousands of years. The story does not begin with romance. It begins with water, dust, and a test no one knew they were taking. In the ancient Near East, a wealthy patriarch named Abraham had one surviving son by his wife Sarah named Isaac. Sarah had died. Isaac was not yet married. Abraham was determined his heir would not take a wife from the surrounding Canaanite peoples whose religious practices he rejected. So he bound his senior servant with a solemn oath, travel to Abraham's extended family in the region called Aram Naharaim, and bring back a woman willing to leave everything for a man she had never met. The servant loaded 10 of his master's camels with costly goods. Wealth was not hidden. It was part of the proof that Isaac's household could honor a bride and her family. It was not a small request. It was a mission that could fail at the well, at the gate, or at the moment of consent. The servant arrived at evening by a spring outside of town. Camels knelt. He prayed plainly for a sign. Let the young woman who offers to draw water for him also volunteer to water the camels. That would be the one. Before he finished speaking, a young woman approached with her jar on her shoulder. She was beautiful. The text insists on that. But beauty was not the point. She drew water. He drank. Then she said she would water the camels too until they finished drinking. She ran to the well again and again, pouring for animals that belonged to a foreigner. The servant watched, stunned, because the sign had arrived faster than hope usually allows. He gave her jewelry, a gold ring and heavy bracelets. He asked whose daughter she was. She named her father Bethuel and identified herself as the granddaughter of Nahor, Abraham's brother. She said there was room in her father's house, and straw and fodder for the camels. The servant bowed to the ground and worshipped. The biblical narrator never names the servant in this chapter, though later tradition often supplies a name readers want. The text keeps the focus on the oath, the prayer, and the girl at the well. At the house, her brother Laban saw the gold and heard the story. He ran to the man at the spring. Hospitality turned urgent. The servant brought out silver and gold garments for Rebekah and costly ornaments for her brother and her mother. The bracelets and rings were not casual tips. They were the kind of wealth that made a family lean forward and listen. But he would not eat until he stated his business. Abraham's wealth, the oath, the prayer, the well, the camels, the girl. He asked plainly for a decision. Will you send her with me? They answered carefully. Let the young woman stay 10 days. The servant refused delay. The matter was settled in heaven already. So they called Rebekah and asked her will. In a world where fathers often decided without asking, the narrative pauses on her voice. She said she would go. That sentence is not long. It is a door swinging shut on one life and open on another. Her family sent her with a blessing that spoke of offspring as countless as stars. Yet the story will soon show that blessing can feel like war inside a single home. The servant's relief surged into worship again when the family agreed. He gave more gifts. The camels were unloaded. The journey south would be a wedding march with strangers watching every mile. Yet the narrative never turns Rebekah into a symbol only. She speaks, she decides, she rides. She rode with the servant's party. Evening fell again. Isaac went out to meditate in the field toward evening when he looked up and saw the caravan approaching. She saw him. She dismounted and veiled herself. The text records that Isaac was 40 years old when he took Rebekah as his wife. They married. The text says Isaac loved her and that she comforted him after his mother's death. But that wasn't the real turning point. The marriage was steady until the deepest pain arrived. She could not conceive. Isaac prayed for her and she became pregnant. And then something unexpected happened inside her own body. The children struggled together as if two futures were already fighting. She went to inquire of the Lord. The answer was stark prophecy. 2 nations were in her womb. 2 peoples would divide from her. One would be stronger. The older would serve the younger. She did not get a parenting manual. She got a forecast that would shape every choice she made afterward. When the crisis of barrenness lifted, joy should have been simple. Instead, the pregnancy itself became a storm. The oracle she received did not name a favorite child. It named a reversal, younger over older. At the time, no one realized how completely that sentence would press against every custom that honored the firstborn son. Time passed. When the twins were born, Isaac was 60 years old. The firstborn came out red and hairy, like a garment of hair, so they named him Esau. His brother followed, grasping Esau's heel. They named him Jacob. The boys grew into different men. Esau became a skillful hunter, a man of the open country. Jacob stayed among the tents. Isaac loved Esau because he tasted the game Esau brought home. Rebekah loved Jacob. The house held 2 alliances before it held 2 meals. Years later, Esau's choice of wives from the Hittites would become a source of bitterness to his parents, a detail that will matter when Rebekah argues for Jacob's escape. And then something unexpected happened at a stew pot. Esau came in famished from the field. Jacob had cooked lentil stew. Esau demanded some. Jacob did not hand it over for free. He asked for Esau's birthright, the double portion and the headship that belonged to the firstborn. Esau swore the oath. He ate. He drank. He rose. The text adds a verdict: Esau despised his birthright. What looked like hunger was surrender of inheritance. Years later, famine pressed the land. Isaac considered going down to Egypt, but God warned him to stay in the land promised to Abraham. Isaac settled in Gerar. Fear took him in a familiar family pattern. He told the men of the place that Rebekah was his sister, not his wife, because he feared someone might kill him to take her. She was exceptionally attractive. The lie exposed her to other men's attention while it shielded his life. At the time, no one realized how dangerous that choice was until the local king Abimelech looked out a window and saw Isaac caressing Rebekah. The king confronted Isaac. The truth came out. Abimelech issued orders: anyone who touches this man or his wife will die. The lie collapsed, but the marriage survived public scrutiny. Isaac grew old. His eyes dimmed until he could not see. He believed he was near death, though he would live longer still. He called Esau and sent him to hunt game and prepare a meal so Isaac could eat and bless him before he died. Rebekah was listening. When Isaac prepared to bless Esau, Rebekah was close enough to overhear the entire plan: voice, timing, menu. So her counterplan was not guesswork. It was intelligence gathered in real time. She moved fast. She told Jacob to bring 2 choice young goats so she could cook what Isaac loved. She would dress Jacob in Esau's best clothes and cover his smooth skin with the goatskins, so his father's hands would feel the hair Esau was known for. Jacob voiced the obvious risk: if his father detected deceit, the blessing might become a curse. Rebekah took the curse on herself, according to her own words: "Let your curse be on me, my son." What came next was even more significant than a stolen meal. Jacob entered. He lied about his name. He let his blind father touch the disguise. Isaac smelled the outdoor scent on the clothes and blessed the voice he thought belonged to Esau. Dew of heaven, fatness of earth, plenty of grain and wine, people serving, nations bowing, mastery over brothers, a curse on those who cursed him, a blessing on those who blessed him. Later, when Jacob disguised his skin and borrowed Esau's smell, the story forces you to feel how fragile honor becomes when eyes fail and hands must judge what they can touch. Isaac's senses were weaponized by love, hunger, and old habit, and Rebekah knew exactly which lever to pull. The tension between trust and manipulation runs through the episode like a hairline crack in stone. Esau returned with his game, cooked it, brought it to his father, and asked for the blessing. Silence turned to horror. Isaac trembled. He asked who had already come. The blessing had been given. Esau cried out with a great and bitter cry. He begged for some blessing too. Isaac gave him words, but they were words of subsistence in rough places, not dominion in the fat land. Esau hated Jacob for the blessing. He comforted himself with a murder plan. He would kill Jacob after their father died. Rebekah heard that as well. She sent word to Jacob: "Your brother is consoling himself by planning to kill you." She told him to flee to her brother Laban in Haran and stay until Esau's fury cooled. She framed it with a marriage concern Jacob could repeat to Isaac. She loathed the idea of Jacob taking a wife from the local Hittite women like Esau's wives. Isaac agreed and sent Jacob away to take a wife from Laban's daughters. That night, leaving Beersheba, Jacob stopped at a certain place, set a stone for a pillow, and dreamed of a stairway reaching heaven, an encounter with God that belongs to Jacob's story. Yet it begins in the wake of his mother's urgent command. But that wasn't the end of the tension in the text. What happened next changed everything for the brothers' future, though not in the way murder would have. Jacob labored in Haran. Esau's rage eventually gave way to a complicated reunion. The narrative moves on across deceit, wrestling at night, and covenant promises. Rebekah slips from the center of the stage. The Genesis account does not narrate her death in the same spotlighted way it narrates Sarah's or Rachel's. A later verse mentions the death of Deborah, Rebekah's nurse, which hints at how long these relationships stretched across generations. Yet the text still leaves Rebekah's own end understated. Honest readers admit the gaps. What remains clear is the arc. A woman who ran at a well, who said yes to a journey, who carried twins under prophecy, who chose sides in a divided house, who orchestrated a blessing transfer that Scripture itself presents as deception, and who sent her favorite son away to save his life. The story of Rebekah is not tidy. It is water poured for animals, gold at a gate, and a voice answering, "I will go." It's twins wrestling, a blind father trusting texture over truth, and a mother's plan that rearranged a family forever. It shows what happens when heaven's word collides with human fear and the hunger for an inheritance. If you enjoyed this deep dive, like and subscribe for more weekly breakdowns.